Welcome back to another episode of the Just Business podcast. I'm your host, Calvin Mills. Pin drops in the chat, pin drops in the comments. Let us know you here with us in the building. Akila,
Akila.
what's the mathematics, my good
Man,
brother?
don't ever. What's up, everybody? It's your boy Kilo O'Neal here to represent Just Business Podcast and to help out my boy Calvin Mills as we getting ready to interview a very, 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 very special guest, close friend of mine. I don't even know where to start, so I'm gonna let her get into it. We have Stay Shaded in the building. Make some noise for that.
All right, what's up? What's up, everybody? What's
Yeah,
up,
how you
y'all?
feeling?
I'm feeling great. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. I'm excited to be here.
Man, we appreciate you coming. Yeah.
Glad to have you.
Thank you. I appreciate for that wonderful intro. Thank you, sir.
I
Of
would have went
course.
more, but I get emotional with you. So we
Okay.
recording right now, and I don't want
I got
folks
you.
can know the story later.
Right,
But
right. I got
yeah,
you.
definitely glad to have you here.
Got you.
Yeah,
Sounds
yeah.
good. I'm excited.
Give us a quick introduction on yourself.
Okay. Well, I'm from Los Angeles. Got to represent that first and foremost. And I'm a co-host on Straight Out the Trunk Radio. Make sure y'all check that out.
Shout out to them.
Straight Out the Trunk Radio. My co-host Bankhead, and I'm
Okay.
also a live vibe creator as well. So
Yes.
I create wonderful vibes for live host or live music hosting events. So
Yes.
that's a little bit about me.
I, I'm looking for we said it earlier before we started, a vibe curator. That is a really good term. I think you should pin that term.
I like that.
Absolutely.
I don't know how we can. I mean, both of us though, because
Oh,
I
yeah.
definitely liked
Yeah,
it.
yeah, no,
right? But if I can hire you, can I hire you now? Because I got my first show coming up, and I
Same.
need somebody to kind of set the tone and all that
Hey,
before the show come up. So
Let's make it happen.
we'll talk. We'll
Say
talk.
less.
Vibe curator, everybody. You heard it first and foremost with Stay Shaded. She is the first person to term vibe curator. So if y'all see this on the internet, make sure you sue these people.
Yeah, make sure you see these people. I got you. Take legal action, cease and desist.
Hey, I
So
got the
y'all know.
computer. I'm doing the DBA
Oh,
right
yeah.
now.
Yes.
Cease and desist. All right.
Right.
All right.
Absolutely. So what we talking about today, fellas?
She said, "What we talking about?"
I'm sorry. I got to stay off of my
Yeah,
interviewing.
you
No, you
used to
good, you
interview.
good.
Yeah.
You know, you're a wonderful host. That's actually how I got my introduction to you.
Okay.
My co-host here actually invited me out to one of the events,
Mhm.
and I seen you host myself,
Mhm.
and I'm impressed.
Thank
I was
you.
definitely impressed, and you made an impression on me.
Thank you.
That's why I did want to reach out to you and
Thank you.
invite you on and pick your brain a little bit.
I appreciate that. That means a lot because standing up in front of people, you don't always know how you're being received or
Right?
how
Yes.
it comes off. And well, me in particular, I'm doing my best to do a good job and provide a good atmosphere and experience. So you don't always know how that's coming across. So thank you so
Right.
much. I'm grateful to hear that. Did you come to our last one?
Yeah, I came to
Okay.
the last one.
I
Yeah.
figured as much. That was the biggest. That's probably the biggest one.
Shout out
Yeah.
first Sundays,
Shout out to
Compton,
First Sundays, Compton.
Hub City Dre.
Yeah,
we in
Hub
this,
City.
we in the building, Compton in the building.
That's
yeah.
a fact. Compton is not dangerous, just so you know. Yeah.
Oh, she was just here last week.
Already
Okay,
know.
look at her
Yeah.
pinning the thing. I should have worn my hat,
Shout
man.
out
Shout
to-
out to Compton
Shout
isn't
out to
dangerous.
Erica. Go get you some
Shout
Compton
out.
isn't
Funyuns.
dangerous merch. Okay.
Yeah,
Shout out to
yeah.
that. Yeah. Compton, it's where it's at.
When Calvin asked about you, I had not given him the full synopsis of how we met, and so I'll make it quick. So I actually met her at another an event,
Mhm,
right? And I think I was just feeling the vibe. I was going through some changes, and she just stopped me. Like it was a crowd full of people. Like it was a backyard boogie, and it was a lot of people, and it was hookah. Everybody was enjoying themselves. Live music, band, sound system, and whatever I was going through, it was is that I don't know. I just walked past her, and she stopped me, and she literally just asked me how I was doing. Oh, I cried for about 30 minutes. No, you laughing.
Yeah.
I was crying in the event.
Yeah.
Like for real. She, I'm no BS. I literally stopped right there and I just cried in her shoulder for I don't know, at least 30 minutes. Like the event was still going on. Different artists is coming up. They having restroom breaks. I think a fight even possibly broke out. But I know for a fact that was the first time outside of my mom or my grandmother's bosom I felt the safety without having to have any prerequisites as a black man.
Mhm.
It was just, it's okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that's all she was telling me. It's okay. And I was crying. I was crying. I was crying. And I didn't even have words. I was just crying. And that safe space was so authentic that like she didn't, I guess with men, sometimes when we look for safe spaces, always comes with prerequisites. We got to make the girl feel good, or
Right.
or give her some money, give her our time, our energy.
Mhm.
It was just like, no, here,
Mhm.
I'm here for you. It's okay. Let it out.
Yeah.
And for you not to even be distracted by everything else, because remember, I'm crying and she's solely focused on me.
Mhm.
The entire time I'm talking about the function was going up, and she stood there with me for about 30 minutes. I will never forget nothing like that. Then the next time I seen her, I didn't see you for what, like 3 months,
Yeah, it
maybe,
was a
maybe
while.
4
Yeah.
after I first met her.
Mhm.
Seen her at another event, cried at that one. It was just like, I don't know. Like literally, I think I seen her 3 times over a course of like 1 year, maybe a year and a half.
Mhm.
And I didn't cry on the third time, and that was no. I seen you a couple times at a couple open mics,
Yeah, yeah.
but I was I was in Aquila O'Neal mode,
Right,
so I was
right.
kind of
It's
like coming to
comedy
do my
mode.
thing. I was
Right.
and all that. The last time that I think that was the first time I actually was able to fully embrace you and just be regular,
Mhm.
because every time I seen her, it was like a vulnerable spot and I just let it out.
Mhm.
And so I wanted to say how important that is. Uh because I've heard a lot recently that women don't, black women specifically, don't feel safe and haven't felt safe in a long time. And then, there's a new conversation with black men feeling safe without prerequisites. And y'all know what those prerequisites are.
Mhm.
And I think that if we
Yeah.
just do a better job of just seeing each other for where we are and who we are at that moment,
Mhm.
instead of trying to put precursors or put prejudgment or put what we want the person to be, how we want the person to feel, and just give a safe space, like healing can really come from it. Like who cries in the middle of the function without? And I wasn't drunk.
Mm-mm.
I was strictly crying my feelings and my emotions, and so I wanted to say that publicly on the internet, recording all that. Thank you.
No problem.
That meant the world to me. And I'm not saying I didn't cry more and ever have moments, but like I would never forget nothing like that, to meet somebody on the first time and I just had a safe space. So thank you so much for giving that to me. I appreciate you, black woman. Thank you.
No
Thank you.
problem.
Can we
No
do the
problem.
claps? Where's the clap? How you go back? Okay, there you go.
He got it.
I don't control the claps. My bad. I'm still learning.
Yeah.
Oops.
Okay. Yeah. Solomon got it. I appreciate you, Solomon.
So let me ask you a question. How do you feel about you having that ability to create safe spaces for black men, or is it tiring or draining? Really good question.
I
That's
was
a
gonna
good
say that's a
question.
fire ass question
Yeah.
too, by the way. I was gonna say also too, I'm grateful to be able to be that for you. First of all, let me just acknowledge you in that way, and then also acknowledge you for being open enough and vulnerable enough to share something like that. Because it's not easy to share, especially as a man, and then on top of that, as a black man, that I'm crying, number one,
Mm.
and then I'm crying in public.
Man, so you got me teary.
So
Hold
it's
on.
like, look, it's not an easy space to be in. So, to go back to your question, um, it's an honor to me personally, because I know that us as black people, we always don't have and haven't had, especially if we talk about our ancestors and things like
Mhm,
that,
mhm.
a safe space physically just in the world existing. And then, going deeper into that emotionally, psychologically, all the slave theology and things
Mhm,
that
mhm,
go into our psyche and things like that. We just don't. That's why we don't trust people.
mhm,
That's why we like, nah, I'm gonna keep it to myself.
mhm,
Nah,
mhm,
fuck that. It goes back to all that. So for me to be able to be, even for a second, or for that 30 minutes, because you have kids, you have work life, so you're gonna go back to that. It's like drinking, it's like taking drugs. Like,
mhm.
you go high, you forget about it for that time period,
Yeah.
but it comes right back. You take a nap,
Mhm.
you dream about it.
Yeah.
It's right there. So if I'm able to provide any kind of safety, any kind of, space where you feel vulnerable enough to just get it out. Because a lot of times what we're seeing is just young people dying, passing away, just
Yeah.
from not being able to ultimately get it out.
Mhm.
And a lot of us don't, know enough to like journal and things like that,
Self
so
care.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And we don't always have, especially as a black man, you don't always have that barbershop space to get it out. So, for me, it's an honor. Is it draining, to answer your second point? For me, I think I'm doing a better job of setting boundaries.
Okay. That's good.
Self-care and boundaries go hand in hand.
Yeah.
But a lot of times in growing up, we're not taught that boundaries are a good thing. Like you're supposed to allow, especially when it comes to like parental and things like that, you're supposed to be completely all VIP access to your family.
Mhm.
And a lot of times that's not healthy. It's just
That's right.
not, especially because a lot of us grew up in toxic ass family relationship, environments.
Yeah.
So, um, learning how to set boundaries, knowing how to say no,
Okay.
not or no, not right now. I'll get back to you. Like, let's table this. I can't right now. Or just give me a second. Whatever it might be. That's how you avoid not being overwhelmed and things like that. So, um, I'm grateful to be that safe space and that
Yeah.
kind of energy and source for Black people and Black men especially, because I know you guys don't have it and you need it.
I'm getting teary eyed thinking about it right now.
He's
So
so
it's
emotional right
I
now.
only around you. I don't know
Dismiss.
what it is. I think that's why I'm like it's a spiritual thing too.
Mhm.
Like I definitely was going. That was
Yeah.
my next question, and I'll be quiet.
Mhm.
Is do you feel that this is a part of your genetic spiritual makeup? Like it's a call, it's a gift. Because
Absolutely.
without all of the fantasy that the church put out and or religion puts out, but just strictly knowing that frequency, that vibration that we
Mhm.
on, that's a gift that you have,
Oh, for sure.
right? And it's such a powerful gift that it caught a stranger off guard. The
Mhm.
Bible talks about if Jesus if the woman with the issue, she could just touch him.
Mhm.
Or in the Bible in the New Testament, Paul and them was walking by dudes and they was getting healed
Mhm.
off their shadows. You
Yeah.
get what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So that level of frequency and that energy, I feel is the most authentic because like you didn't even ask me. I don't even think you had my name at the end of that day.
Mm-mm.
Like I don't
It's
even
so
like
good.
I don't even think we exchanged information.
Mhm.
That's crazy to
Mhm.
me.
Mhm.
Crazy to me.
Yeah.
But I think that like you say, you really blessed me. But it's a gift, man, and that's why I asked you: does it drain you? Is it tiring? Setting boundaries. What does that look like? And who pours back into you? That's my next question. I'm done with my questions for right now. I'm sorry, y'all.
No, I
I
got
ain't
you.
seen her in a long time. I ain't trying not to cry. I'm trying not to cry, so I
Right.
gotta ask
It's
questions.
okay. It's okay. I would say, as far as the gift part, absolutely. It's something that's happened since I've been really young.
Okay.
I've honestly been the person who, like, I was young and like older people are like telling me their stories and
Mm.
stuff like that, where I'm just, I'm like 12, 11, 10, and you have older people or, just people telling you stuff. Like for me, I walk in, hey, how's it going? Well, actually, and it's like, oh shit, here we are. So
Mm.
for me, I've always just created a safe space. And just been a place like I honestly feel like for me when people come in a close proximity to me and you have any kind of interaction or connection to me in any way, you feel comfortable. I think that's the best way.
Mm.
Like I have a
Yeah.
really good way of making people kind of like drop their defenses really like organically, not in a like, hey, like me kind of way.
Right. Yeah.
But and then you just feel comfortable and then you just start to let it out, let it flow. And for me, I think that's really important because that wasn't something that has ever been present for me
Mhm.
growing up. So I think we all show up in those ways for other people in those kind, organic ways because we didn't get those as children.
Mhm.
We
Yeah.
often provide what we didn't have.
Mm.
So for me to tying in your other question about like what or who pours into me because it's a gift, I believe that God and just the other interactions that organically happen to me pour back into me,
Okay.
but also just the recent self-healing journey and just taking my own self-worth
Mm.
and self-confidence and self-concept more seriously and digging deeper into what that really looks like for me and not what I've been told.
Okay.
Mhm.
Going back to that dysfunctional family
Mhm.
Mhm.
environment
Yeah.
and just those things that we couldn't help but internalize because
Mhm.
that's all we knew. That's what we were around. You were a child. So for me now, just understanding that being me and just the way that I am is good enough and is actually amazing.
Okay.
And then, hearing stories like this just reiterates that and just drives it home that you're not what you've been told. And you're not what maybe somebody told you, you're selfish, you're lazy. But everybody else that you came in contact with was like, "Oh, you're so nice. You're
Mhm.
so, so for you, you were probably, and I'm speaking for myself, where you're like, well, what am I? Am I selfish? Am I?
Mhm.
So being able to build my own self image, self concept, and then hearing things like that, which drives that home and marries perfectly because it's like that is me.
Yeah.
That's how I've always been. Just going back to, or tying in the original question, which is like I've always been this welcoming space for people, but for me to that part to not be seen of me in my own home, that's where the doubt and the shame, guilt, things like that come into play where you're like, what is this? So I would say, yes, it's absolutely a gift and it's something that I've been blessed with. And I think for a while when you're younger, you're like, why me? Like, because you just want to fit in. When you're younger, you
Yeah.
just want to fit in. You don't want
Yeah.
to be different like that, where, like you're different. You gotta be different. Your life's gonna be bigger. And it's like, I just want to be like everybody else.
Mm.
So for me, embracing that not being like everybody else is my path and it's the right thing and it's the good thing and then it's just me organically. So that's hopefully that did answer
Yeah,
your
no, you
question.
definitely answered my question. Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely give off that vibe. When I met you and the way you was describing her, I felt that vibe too.
Mhm,
When I met you, you have a very inviting vibe.
mhm.
That's why I'm like, okay, I need to make sure. When I seen you pop up on my people you may know, I'm like, oh yeah, this is definitely a sign. So I
Yeah,
definitely felt that vibe, and I'm like, we need to talk.
absolutely, absolutely. And it's funny that I was just kind of joking in your comments and then you hopped in in my DM and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh shit, okay,
Yeah,
let's talk about it then.
yeah,
So
yeah.
This man on Facebook is something to get used to.
mm, look, it was on IG, but I heard about the Facebook
Oh
side.
God,
Yeah.
I've heard
that's
about the
terrible.
Wild Wild
It's
West. That's the Facebook.
Well, no, no,
That's
it's
no,
a
no.
Facebook.
part. It's part of our marketing strategy.
Okay, I got you. I feel
However,
you.
he got that down pat. I come in when I can, and leave when I leave.
Right,
I stay
absolutely.
out of it.
Yeah, you got kids and stuff.
I
Yeah, I already know.
Yeah, we
uh,
became a little wild on
Mhm.
there.
Oh,
I wanted to bring up, and this might be can segue to the video. Of course, we got to show. It's off the fly. Do you feel that black men represent or protect or create safe spaces for black women,
not
or
always.
protect them too? Throw the protection in there. Not
Not
always.
always. And I
And
would
why?
say, especially late '90s, early 2000s. That's why
That's
we're
the
having.
greatest time. Oh my goodness.
That's, I mean, musically,
Yes.
TV,
Everything.
absolutely. But as we're learning, it was riddled and blanketed with so much trauma and just
That's a good point.
dysfunction and toxicity and abuse. Like look at the Diddy situation.
Yeah.
Look at the Russell Simmons. He's literally over in fucking what, like
Bali.
Bali,
Yeah,
just
chilling.
chilling,
Yeah.
doing fucking
Other stars are
shows and
going to
shit.
visit him, which is crazy.
Wild. It's a wild like juxtaposition because like you have black daughters a
Mhm.
lot of times, and you have a black mom, grandmother, aunts, and it just it kind of just it plays in question, like what do you represent, especially if you're it's one thing to have done business with a person and you didn't necessarily know what they're about, but now and still associating with them by choice is kind of like because at some point you just gotta draw a line, like, and all money's not good money.
Yeah.
We've seen that. So getting back to your question, not always, especially leading up to now. I think that goes back into what I've been talking about this whole time, which is slave theology,
Mhm.
Mhm.
us learning toxic behaviors, them being passed down, and us ultimately living in a patriarchal
World.
society where men rule, even on a lower
Mhm,
hierarchy
mhm.
scale, black men, you still are above a black woman.
100%.
So, um, I think it's been just like we talk about white men. It's convenient for you to be able to be like, "Well, I'm over here. I don't know what you're talking about."
Imma
Like,
speak Imma
it's
speak to that.
so I think that's where a lot of black women are kind of like, "Well, damn, don't don't just
Yeah.
sidestep it when you
Mhm.
can not necessarily put it on your back and carry it like a cross per se." Like I personally wouldn't want anybody to feel like that's what they have to do, but drawing a line and kind of like just, hey, we're not gonna talk about that, or full stop.
Yeah.
You don't know enough about
Yeah.
that for us to be able to haha banter, because I know how this is gonna, be perceived.
Mhm.
Which I know this will play into the clip that we'll get into in just a bit. But honestly, I think that's what a lot of black women feel, because for them, they've taken strong stances on the behalf of black men.
I'm listening.
And like strong stances in the terms of like, I've done myself down. Like I've not raised myself to my potential because that didn't benefit your bottom line, or
Ooh, I'm about to pull up
you
something. Let me see.
being bigger or whatnot, because me taking care of the kids just made more sense. But
Right.
that doesn't mean that I'm not brilliant as hell and I couldn't have been a lawyer or a top blah 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 blah.
Okay.
So I think that's where a lot of black women's issue is where just put your foot down. Just put your foot down. It's okay to be like, nah, we're not doing that. Like just like you would against, let's say, your boy who don't take care of
Yeah.
his kids. We not. That's
It's
not
zero
cool, bro.
tolerance. Yeah.
That's not cool,
Zero
bro.
tolerance.
Period.
Period.
So it's just certain things where you just like, we're
I
not
got you.
doing that. But I'm leaving room for we didn't know. A lot
Okay.
of things we just didn't know. We're still unlearning. Thankfully for the mental health movement, things like that,
Oh
and it
yeah.
being
Yeah.
okay and more of a acceptable topic, especially among black men and black people, especially. We didn't know, but we can do better. We can continue to do better. So no, be prior to now. I
Mhm.
think hopefully it's getting better now.
Before we
Okay.
play the video, can I read
Oh
something
yeah,
real
yeah, of
quick? All
course.
right, you said something so powerful, and it was. I ain't gonna say it was small. The wording was small, but it was an impactful word when you were saying you have to dummy yourself down and things like that. So, I've been researching. So I have a black woman. I have a race, gender, and sexuality class, and I also have a black woman in feminism thought class, right?
Ooh, those are probably
So,
deep.
um, I had I had to do some research on I always pronounce this word wrong. It's the Combahee River Collective Statement.
Okay.
You ever heard of that?
Mm-mm.
So around when the second wave of feminist movement was happening, these group of lesbian black women,
Mhm.
or because we also know that womanism, black feminism, it's a lot of intersectionalities when it comes to like race,
Unfortunately.
gender, sex, and class, right?
Mhm.
We got that.
For
Okay,
Yeah.
sure.
cool. So these group of women, based off something that happened on the river about 100 years ago,
Mhm.
they created an organization to be able to stand against feminism. They promote womanhood, black womanhood, lesbianism, all
Mhm.
accepting everybody. So
Mhm.
this was you said something about dumbing yourself. Now this was a something I took and put in my paper. It says even our black women's style of talking and testifying in black language about what we have experienced has a renaissance that is both cultural and political. We have spent a great deal of energy delving into the cultural and experimental nature of our oppression out of necessity, but because none of these matters have ever been looked at before. No one before has ever examined, here it is, the multi layered texture of a black woman's lives. An example of this kind of revelation or conceptualization occurred at a meeting as we discussed in the ways in which early intellectual interests have been attacked by our peers, particularly black males. We discovered that all of us, because we were smart, had also been considered ugly. Example, smart ugly. Smart ugly crystallized the way in which most of us had been forced to develop our intellects at a great cost to our social lives. That is the craziest thing I've ever heard, but it makes so much sense because majority coming up in the inner city, the grades and things like that, the really, 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 really smart girls were not really taken seriously.
Mm-mm.
You had to be pretty, and I'm not saying some of my, we all blossom and change our lives and all
Oh yeah.
things like that, but just to know that something like smart ugly is a thing,
Mhm.
because I'm not really all the way attracted to you, which is a reflection of a black man's insecurities
Mhm.
or lack thereof,
Mhm.
because you have an intellect that far supersedes mine.
Facts.
But the issue is that you get more pain from me coming against you, attacking you. That's what it said. It said their intellect were attacked
Mhm.
by black men specifically.
Mhm.
And that trips me out, especially, I'm a black studies major, and I always dive deep into the civil rights movement, the post industrial revolution, all those things that were happening. Black women was holding this down.
Facts.
The church,
Mhm.
the political movement,
Mhm.
everything that we know,
Mhm.
the foundation of it was the black woman. Just like with Willie Lynch, he knew that you can get the man, but the way you put it in the generational curse, the way you talk about what we talked about. I met a scholar. He said African Americans, black people, are the only race of people that our pain is passed through our genetic makeup.
Mm.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Willie Lynch do all this stuff. You read the letter, and I've read some stuff that far supersedes what he put out. But just in that initial thing, you destroy the woman,
Mhm.
because the woman keeps the family down, things like that.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna be quiet after this. You also made a mention about how it is like the workspace and things like that.
Mhm.
I know for a fact that I can benefit from white male patriarchy faster than you can,
Oh, yeah.
because you are a woman
Mhm.
and also you are a black woman.
Mhm.
Anytime in the office space, law, medicine, academia, whatever,
Mhm.
I can always, quote unquote, go be with one of the guys,
Right.
even if they white.
Right.
They can give me all little race jokes or whatever, but they can include me into their epsilon, as to where my sister, who probably got a higher level of education than all of us,
Facts.
probably put more work in than all of us,
Mhm. Mhm.
probably got the resume than all of us,
Mhm.
will never fully be accepted, simply because not only is she a woman, but she's a black woman.
That's a fact. Mm.
And that's what I wanted to say,
Mhm.
because you said it so it was fast, but I was like, we got to unpack that, because I never, once I started working at my second job at the hospital, I never saw black women who have the intellect, nurses, doctors, and things like that,
Mhm.
be dummied down to like what I do, and
Mhm.
I clean.
Mhm.
I'm like, how are we treating our sisters? Are definitely treated crazy in corporate space, and this is gonna
Oh, yeah.
tie into this,
Mhm.
because as a comedian, I'm for sure about to say something to
Mhm.
it.
Mhm.
But that I just wanted to say that
Yeah,
that
yeah.
that I highlight that part, that when I read that and I put that in my paper, smart ugly is an actual insane term to when you really like think about that, man.
Yeah.
It's like I never put two and two together. So
Yeah.
that's it. That's all I wanted to say. Brief
How
history lesson.
so what would be the solution to that? The
To
whole smart ugly thing? Because
I
there's a
mean,
lot of science.
it really just taps into the male ego
That's it.
ultimately,
That's all it is.
and a man wanting to be the savior, and or a woman being, because if you think about it, a woman who's prettier is also seen as a little dingier, a little less
That's
all there
that's real.
or whatnot. So
That's
the
real.
man is supposed to what? Do it for her. AKA he can run the show, save the day. That's damsel in distress.
Mhm.
Mhm.
That's it right
Little
there.
girls always say they want their dad just to be like, oh, dad. Like my daughters,
Mhm.
they don't worry about nothing.
Mhm.
It's my
Mhm.
daddy gonna take care of it. And
Right.
a lot of women, not saying if they had dads or didn't have dads, that's a complex conversation. But from what I've heard, dating women over the years, they want to just be taken care of.
For
They
sure.
want to be, this soft girl era information, or I don't want to have to work. Or here's the thing that I hear the most: I'm tired of being strong.
That part. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I think what it is black women now are having to do so much more
Mm,
like on alone, that they want to get to that safe space that we were talking about,
mhm.
that I was able to provide for you, from a man that actually deserves it. Let's
Ooh,
start there. That deserves it.
that's tough.
Because
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that.
you can everybody can want to lead, but are you qualified to be a leader?
Mhm,
And a
Mhm.
lot of times
Yeah.
that's not necessarily the case. And sometimes we can't admit that. And that's okay.
mhm,
Like that's okay. But get to the point where you are a capable leader, and then you gain the trust of that woman, and she's comfortable enough to turn off that
Mm.
brilliant brain of hers, because I saw a video on TikTok a while ago where and I think it was a lesbian couple, but I think there were heterosexual women in the comment section like, yeah, when I'm with my husband, I don't think. Like basically like
Oh yeah,
he takes
I've
so
seen
much
that
so
that
good
clip.
Yeah,
care of me that like
yeah,
I'm just like, because the video was
a dingbat.
she no, she what it was they left somewhere, and the wife she's probably the more dominant,
I
more
know how to. Yeah.
masculine energy. She always knows where they parked. And so on purpose, the wife who always knows where they park kind of like didn't take the lead and like let her walk. And so she's like, "Where we going?" And she's like, "I don't know. You always walk to where we where
Wow.
we go." And so they're just like laughing, but she had it on the screen like, I always tell 'em, like, you always know. Like, I don't have to think with
Mhm.
you. So I think going back to that whole like they're tired of being strong, like they want to have the option to turn it off. They want to be able to say, you know what, like, yes, I am strong. Yes, I did do this. Yes, I went to work and had to put these in their place, even though they thought I'm not capable. They still playing me, blah, blah,
Mhm.
blah.
Mhm.
When I get home with you, I want to be able to say, okay, you got it.
Mhm.
And I'm feel safe enough to do that. I know that our financial situation is not going into the hole because now you gambling or you're
Mhm.
spending it on whatever. You're making unwise investments. However you want to break it down. You're parenting our children in a, sending them on the wrong path.
Mhm.
However it showcases itself. But I think that's what it is where smart was often harder. It's you had to put more work.
Mhm.
I, the
Mm.
the the easy stuff that me being a basketball player is not good enough.
Mm.
Like, okay, like that's why for me, always grew up an athlete. So you being a basketball player, that was okay.
Mhm.
And then also, if you couldn't beat me, let's just go play video games or something. Like,
Mhm.
let's just not, because you can't even beat me,
Yeah.
huh? Like so, and just because you're good, on your side,
Mhm.
okay, you put the ball in the hole. That's cool. What else?
What else?
Like so, a lot of men, especially when you're younger, you don't want to be challenged like that. Especially when you just like, let's be honest, you just trying to get the pussy. You just trying to get some. Like, I gotta,
The
I gotta talk
podcast
to
just
you.
shifted.
I gotta talk to you, man. You got.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just go to the girl who, where I can take her to McDonald's.
Yeah, cause
But
my homegirls, girls I've talked to in the past, my homegirls, they'll say like nowadays, niggas don't even ask questions. They just send in dick flicks in the Instagram or let me pull up, come over. Like nobody wants to have a conversation. Nobody wants to
wild.
get to know them because sometimes they be wanting you to just be upfront about what you want. But dang, you don't have a common courtesy to see what I'm about, to see if I'm smart. Or,
Mhm.
it's just like you said, just want the sexual thing, and it's like now I see why a lot of women, black women specific, I only talk about black women, it's it's sad because I used to demonize the whole the hyper independence, the being single and da da da. Like, girl, why are you single? But then as I
I
start
still
reflect,
do.
Yeah,
I,
yeah, I still do.
I
That's cool.
I don't like it,
Yeah.
but I definitely give a whole lot more grace now. Not only with my own situations that I've been through, but just reading and unpacking and listening
Mhm.
because I hold the man accountable way
Oh
more.
yeah, of course.
Way more.
Oh
It's
yeah.
our
Because I don't think
responsibility.
women, when I say I don't think women, I want this to go viral crazy. I don't believe women should be working for somebody else.
I agree.
Mhm.
I can say that out loud.
I agree.
If she loves medicine, law, academia, business, by all means, baby. If you can do it, I'm with you. I'm supporting you. But actually reporting somewhere to deal with another man, another entity, when we
Mhm.
got a family,
Yep.
it's crazy. Like, honestly, any woman that marries me, I'll be like, baby, I'm going to figure it out because I'm a lot.
Yeah.
So marrying me is crazy right now. So I don't want you working. I mean, if you go, like I said, if you work and wanted to, I'm not this whole stay at the house and lay down on your back and cook clean. No, that's not me. That's not me at
I like
all.
the patriarchy.
What you
He
say?
said,
I like
he
the
said, I like the
patriarchy.
regular old school way.
I believe in the patriarchy.
No, it's nothing wrong with it. But like, okay, so if your girl she wants to be a nurse and she loves medicine, you're gonna be like, no, stay home and take care of my kids.
Oh, but I would prefer
Yeah, of
for
course.
sure. But if that's what she wants to go do, of course.
Oh, but we see the importance of how our women, mothers, wives are in the homes more and taking care of children,
This-
homeschooling. Those are new things now
This is
coming.
what I'll say. If she wants to go be a nurse, as long as it doesn't take away from home,
I agree.
go,
I can
go
say
do
that.
Go,
I
go
can
do
say
that.
that, but that's
Like,
also an understanding that y'all have before you ask her to marry you too.
you know how straightforward I am. I'm day one. I'm telling you exactly what I expect from
Yeah,
you.
as you
I'm very
should.
intentional. I really believe that men know within them first 3 to 6 months.
If he
That's-
want to marry a girl or not,
He knows.
marry or be with her.
Marry.
that's
He
deep.
knows exactly
That's a-
what
I
he
give it a
wants to
year.
do.
I give it a year.
That's a great.
If that
que-
man's
I've been
not-
married
How-
before.
If
how
that man's not
long-
intentional,
So okay, we'll rewind a little bit. Pause on the marriage. How long before you know you love the girl?
Ooh, love.
Love
that's same thing. 3 to 6 months.
3 6 months.
Once you love her already, what you waiting on?
Right.
We
Yeah, we can pause on the marriage. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not. We don't even have to.
love.
Love.
We talking about like not infatuation. Oh, I love. We talking about no, I love her.
you. Like, and
Mm.
I'm telling you this. Like, hey, or like, oh, get off the phone. All right, love you.
3 to
Like
6
6 months.
3
Easy.
3
Men,
to 6
men,
months.
I actually
Men
think men
know.
have a crazy concept of love. We just don't always know how to express it,
Verbalize it.
verbalize it, things like that. Because
See
our natural instinct is to do.
Hmm.
When I love you,
Yeah.
or if I'm loving you,
Yeah.
Just do for.
I don't even care if you got an attitude
Mhm.
or if we mad or beefing. For example, I'm just using marriage, but if I'm supposed to if I get your hair done every 2 weeks, nails, that's on part of my budget on Friday. We can argue Monday through Thursday. I'm not gonna not do what I said I was gonna do because we've been arguing Monday through Thursday. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Right.
That's when I know when I'm wanna make your life easier.
Hmm.
When I want to make your life easier with my resources, paying for things, taking care of things, with my emotions, because women need to be emotionally. So if I'm taking the time to check out, to be able to call you on your lunch, what's going on, be that safe space, coming to hear you
Yep.
complain about some coworkers that I really don't give a damn about,
That part.
or your family dynamics, or I listen to Ayana a lot. Men naturally want to come in and fix things.
Oh yes.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
I want to make sure
Fix
this
the problem.
because if it's not,
Fix the problem.
we got a problem,
Mhm.
and that affects a lot of relationships. But a lot of women are not ready to receive that type of structure,
Mhm.
discipline,
Well, also they just
leadership.
want to talk about it a lot of times.
Yeah.
Okay. It's like
They just
because
want to talk about
a
it.
lot
That's
of
good.
times that's what it is. This is the way that I see it for men. Men are like, what's the problem? How do we fix it? Like
Mhm.
Bob the Builder. I'm
Yep.
Bob the Builder. Can we
Mhm,
fix it?
mhm,
Boom. Yes,
mhm.
we can. Bing. That's it.
That's it.
Women are like, what's the problem? How do we get there? How do we not get here again?
Oh,
And everything
Yeah.
that went, everything in between that,
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's where I think it goes back into what you were talking about before of like where women are the backbone and whatnot because we're so much more detailed.
mhm, mhm.
Well, we paid
Oh,
attention
yeah.
to
Yeah.
like, okay, when you come home, you put your keys on the right, and then you drop your towel or your bag right here, and then all that was processed when you were okay. He does that. Okay. So I know when I clean up or whatever, put this back here, put that back there, because that's
Mhm.
where those go.
Mm.
As opposed to a man's just like, well, I cleaned up.
But you
You
had to make
said-
this. I don't like this voice that you're making. I don't like
They
that
always
voice.
give you that.
That voice
I
is a
don't
little
either.
sexist right now.
I
I'm in
don't
class. That
I
voice
mean,
hurt my feelings a little bit. Like, what you mean?
I cleaned it up like you told me. Like, what's the problem?
How old is this nigga you talking to?
Like, I mean, no, this is just a
Nah, yeah.
this is just a random,
Random voice that you
random
just
voice.
used.
But I mean, I think that goes into the care, and I think you loving, and how does that person want to be loved too? Safe space for a man.
Mhm.
It's not always just let me give you the,
It's
I don't.
not.
Can I say? Can we? Can
Yeah,
I?
we can curse on.
Okay.
I don't be cussing a lot.
Right, okay.
But you can
Do your thing. I'm grown. Though.
I do.
Okay. But like it's not just like let me give you the pussy. Like that's not enough. Like that's not enough.
No, it's
just
not.
even
Right,
on
yeah.
the woman's side, like how does he receive love best? Like not how do you give it best? So
how does he receive it? That's not
and
how
then
bar.
vice versa.
Yeah.
Vice versa. How does she receive? Like you just giving gifts. Like maybe that's not
Mhm.
love languages.
That's
Our
good.
thing.
Mhm.
Love.
Yeah.
What is that person's top love language? Are they an acts of service person or more of a quality time? So if you trying to give gifts, they would actually rather just
spend time
Spend
with
some
you.
time with
That's
Mhm.
real.
like I
Yeah.
just want to watch our favorite movie for the 50th time.
Yeah.
And
Styles,
That's a good point.
styles make fights.
You said wait what?
Styles make fights.
Oh yeah.
Styles make fights.
Yeah. You never heard that term in boxing? They always say the style of boxer is really gonna determine who's gonna win.
Oh, the
Mhm.
style, the
Yeah, the
style,
Yeah,
the
style of
style of
style
fight,
the
like
makes
style
makes
of
southpaw,
fights.
that type of stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah, cause
Okay.
Yeah.
you'll date a woman and she'll always not always.
Mhm.
There's a lot of women who will approach loving a man how they think he wants to be loved
Mhm.
and never ask him how he wants to be loved.
Mhm.
Never ask him what's his love language, what's his version of love,
Mhm.
what does it look like,
Right.
so that she can mimic that.
Mhm.
She's just like, well, I did X, Y, and Z.
Mhm.
This is my way of showing you I love you. You need to accept that.
Yes, which
That
is
and that's not.
which is the downfall and unfortunate part about women dating men and their potential.
Mm,
Um
There go that P
ooh,
word.
and this is
yeah.
Here we go.
this is the issue. I actually was talking to somebody recently, which is why I asked the question about how long or how soon do you know when you love somebody? Um, because I think they were dealing with each other for like a year or so, and he had yet to say or like, and basically had said like, I'm not in love with you, and I
Mm,
basically kind of just was like, girl, it's done, like it's dead, like leave it
right.
alone.
Was sh-
Yeah.
was she
You're
was she I was she do, what I don't even know how to ask because it's like 6 months, like 6 months, man, I love her. Like that
Mhm.
girl. You kind of just know.
She probably
Yeah.
just impressed the issue.
Well, no,
Gotta
I
make it
mean,
clear.
I think if you're with, and I mean, they were in a relationship. They were in
Oh,
a
they wasn't just
relationship. No, no,
talking.
no. They were in a
Oh
relationship.
yeah,
Did she
he
ever
wow.
tell
So
him that she wanted to get married?
I
Get
mean,
married and stuff.
I would imagine
A
so,
year is a
especially
long time to be in
because
a
like
relationship.
he met the family,
Well, there's
type
a lot of
shit.
women
So
who they'll just be in the relationship and just expect him to know that I want to get married
agreed.
without
And
actually
for me,
verbalizing it.
I don't explicitly know. Like,
Right, right,
she
right, right.
said she told him,
Hmm.
but you meeting someone who, let's say you're meeting someone who has a mom and dad that have been together their whole life.
Yeah.
You not stupid. Like, let's be for real and not be crazy and think that she's not gonna want to mimic what she comes home
What she
to.
saw. Yeah.
Yeah.
Comes home
Mm-hmm.
to every since she was a kid, and then comes home to every holiday.
Hmm.
Like, let's be for real.
Yeah.
But going back to the original point, we as women have to be realistic and not date potential,
Mm.
and because if potential's useless if the person doesn't know they have the potential. It's
Ooh.
Mm.
just like the
Ooh.
saying of
Yeah.
to know and not do is to not know at all.
To know is not
Wow.
do is to not know it all.
Same
I like
difference.
that. Yeah.
So it's like if I have all the potential in the world, but I have no idea that I have it, what's the point?
Yeah.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
what's the use?
I know we gotta get to this clip. Why do you think women usually some women go after the potential of a man or what he can be or what you think he should be? Like
Because they're
what
hoping that it's all gonna it's like a
it's
movie.
like
It's
fairy
gonna
tale Disney.
blossom like a fucking flower that's so
Mm.
beautiful, and then it's gonna be like I was the one, like she's the one in the middle of the flower,
Mhm.
and as it bursts open, there she is, like an angel. Oh, and that's when he's gonna be like, I knew it. And she's gonna be like, this is why I stood down for you for
Yeah,
20 years,
that's crazy.
wild shit.
Fairy tale.
But ultimately understanding, going back to what I was saying, setting the boundary is important. And you
Mm-hmm.
overextending yourself does not make people want to treat you better.
Ooh.
I almost got up.
Wow.
And that's I can't even take credit for that because that's a
PSA.
meme. That's a meme I saw. Like, overextending yourself does not make people want to treat you better.
Mm.
I think I have subconsciously dealt with that even with being a father,
Mm.
not to the children, the co-parenting or just man, that really touched me because I never thought about it like that. Because I know I overextend. I love helping people. Like
Yeah,
how you like. I love helping people, taking care of
yeah.
making people feel good. I'm always a cool vibe. I don't be having no time for that.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely know, like when it comes to forgiveness and letting things go, I felt like I'll say some women over my time used to tell me like you got to set your boundaries,
You have to.
right? Set your boundaries with the kids, moms, and things like
Mhm.
that
You have
because
to.
and I didn't know that for years
Mhm.
because in my mind, I just wanted, I'm a man.
Mhm.
Even though we not together, I just want to fix the problem
Mhm.
and get rid of it
Yeah.
so we be good.
Mhm.
But I also overextend myself with being with some women in my life, whether it's my mom or some piece to my grandmother, some women I've dated, past relationships. say that you're overextending yourself,
Mhm.
that you're giving too much for here it is to make them think that they're not only like you, but respect you. And that actually is a very huge thing for me because I never realized, like, man, maybe I'm doing too much because I feel this need
Mhm.
of acceptance, validation
It
for
is the
these people,
validation.
right? We talked about
Yeah,
that last
yeah,
thing
we
about
did.
my
We definitely
validation and
did.
having to go
Yeah.
through that. It's so many different facets that it's not just dating women or dating women. It's also knowing how to not date women
Mhm.
and not how to
Oh,
be there.
yeah.
And
Mm.
you get what I'm saying?
Those
So
boundaries, yeah.
having
Yeah.
boundaries took me 15, 16 years.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I'm
Yeah.
33.
Yeah.
And I've been having kids since I was 18. Or even if I was dating a girl right now, these days are my self-care days.
Yeah.
I plays no games about these days.
Mhm.
As
So
you
if I
should.
don't talk a lot and all that, don't get in your feelings.
Yeah.
You
Mhm.
know?
And she gotta
Or
respect that.
I gotta go to
Got
work. I
to.
gotta pick up
Yeah.
my kid. I have to,
Mhm.
right? And if you're coming in, and again, there is compromise and adjustments.
Oh, absolutely.
Because love kicks in,
Mhm.
Absolutely.
or feelings,
Mhm.
or being human. But definitely standing on boundaries is probably the hardest thing I'll probably have to do because it makes you the bad guy sometimes,
Mhm.
or people don't like you and
Yeah.
all that. So
Yeah. You
Yeah, I'm sure
gotta.
as a father. Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
I would
easy.
say
Mhm.
you gotta learn how to love being the villain sometimes. You know, when
Man,
you,
I love villain stuff. I just don't like
yeah,
my
when
mama Christian, man. You know,
I get it, but you know how Christians can be sometimes.
I ain't talking about them. My mama a
Listen,
real one.
listen.
it's,
Hey,
it's hard.
Christians
you
are
gotta, you gotta
most
love.
villainous one.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
gotta love both sides.
Okay, well, okay. I'll be trying.
Hey,
I
it'll all come together.
I'm only a villain if I'm angry. And it takes me a lot to get angry. I'm not a normal angry person. Like you would have to it would be we about to get down or
I would say you gotta be in that before you even get angry because you gotta be in that while you still logical.
okay, that's
When
fair.
you
Good point.
watching, Batman, Superman, most of the villains are super intelligent.
Yeah, 90% of the time. It's always
Yeah,
conniving,
like
super
yeah,
intelligent.
like Joker may be animated, but he's still very calculated. He's still very intelligent, and that came way before him acting
Yeah.
crazy
I got you.
and being mad per se.
Mhm.
Good
But
point.
yeah, but while we're talking about mad,
Yeah.
let's get into this controversy that we have with
Mm.
Black woman and Andrew Schultz.
Okay. All right.
As in, he's a comedian. For those who know, Andrew Strokes is a known stand-up comedian. He's, I believe,
Mhm.
he's Jewish from New
Yes,
York.
yes,
New
he is
York.
Jewish. He's a
And
New
most
Yorker.
He is a
Yeah.
New
most
Yorker.
notably for this clip, he's white.
Yes.
He's a white man.
I was gonna throw that in there, but I'm glad
I got it.
that's cool.
Yep, I got
Thank you so much.
it.
We're gonna get into the joke first.
In fact, this
Oh,
is
you don't know about
glow
this?
up the other culture.
Yeah, so you'll see a guy who's had a black girlfriend. All of a sudden, he's got buzz cut, like
Yeah.
clean shape up.
Yeah.
Glows up, bro.
I like that.
Glows
I
the
like
fuck
that.
up.
They shave their hair because they start losing it. Because they're so stressed being around this black girl complaining about shit all the fucking time. That's why they gotta shave their
Nah,
hair.
bro. White guys with black girlfriends,
They grow a beard
They step
because
their dick
there's
up.
more cushion when they get slapped the fuck out of.
That's hilarious.
I think the black girlfriend effect. It might be a protective instinct, bro.
You think?
Yeah. Do you guys have you ever had black girlfriends?
Yeah.
Have you ever had white girls?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh wow. Okay. What's your favorite?
We love them all.
Yeah.
Oh really?
We love them all.
Yeah.
That means white.
Yo, who gets
That means white.
Very PC answer.
That is what.
Translation.
Kendrick fans?
We love them all.
That's more.
That's the controversial clip and joke that's been kind of sending women into an uproar, specifically Black women. I wanted to ask you guys' take on that.
Are we doing what his response is, or are we just gonna talk about it now?
We can go to his response.
I want to hear his response, and then we can.
This is his initial response to them apologizing for the joke.
Right.
Plus, you know what's mad funny about this is that they had shit that they asked to take out the episode. You know what they didn't ask to take out?
Your racist slander.
Why's your nose twitching?
They had shit. Their producer, whatever, was like, "Hey, we really think that's inappropriate. We'd like to take that out. That's very uncomfortable." Their fight and flight instinct really kicked in after the power down. But with that joke about the black women, nothing really seemed. The fight or flight wasn't really there afterwards.
Your delivery was too good. I think.
Maybe they were seduced by the delivery.
Yeah.
I like them. I feel bad.
And that was his response. That was his retort to
Okay.
the controversy. And, they apologized. And that was his response to them apologizing.
Yeah, I saw the response, or I
I'm-
saw them apologize.
I'm gonna go first as a comedian.
Yeah, go ahead.
I love some Andrew Stokes' material as
Mhm.
for comedian to another comedian. I was following those two dudes for a while because they have some funny content. You get what I'm saying?
Shenanigans.
I definitely think they dropped the ball.
Mm.
I definitely 100% think they dropped the ball because there's no way in the world somebody gonna ask me like if they like everybody love everybody, but those two dudes is black dudes, and if another man asks you what's your favorite, you're supposed to stand up for your sisters. But
But
you
if
know,
that's not their favorite,
but if that's not their favorite, cool.
Mhm.
I get that, which is kind of wild. British colonization, whatever, cool.
hey, let them.
But I do think that because I don't consider them comedians, I think Andrew So had the upper leg. Because if I was there, I would have came on and been like, first off, black women ain't like, what are you talking about, right? Like, I feel like he's not educated enough to say something on that level of an emotional and mental thing that affects how we operate as a people.
Exactly.
I can bring it up
Mm-hmm.
and make it funny,
That part.
right?
'Cause
But
you-
I experience
Exactly.
it and live with it and love these women
Mhm.
and only choose these women.
Mhm.
So I would immediately be ready to like come back and forth and things like that. Because then I'm gonna ask him, has he probably experienced some black women? And who are these black women?
That's what I would ask, or
Who
that's
would-
what I asked.
Like what you a Jewish New Yorker, what black women you experiencing that it's all about they stressing you out and hair and things like
these are
that. And
things you
what do you
seen
say?
on
You gotta
TV.
grow a beard, and that means that all these black men are growing beards so they won't get slapped. So now that's our like that's actually crazy.
That's wild.
Good dark joke. But there's in comedy, is certain things like for example, I love Kramer, love Seinfeld, really good show.
Mhm.
Kramer was wrong years ago when he was screaming out the N-word. Care how funny you are. Some things you just can't cross.
That is a good point.
Some things you just can't cross. And because people be like the N-word and who own it and the history of it, whatever. You can't say it. And that's what it's gonna be. And I think, and I'm gonna piggyback. So when they said Andrew Schultz's response was very calculated and educated response, right? I just felt like the two dudes, what's the guy's name again? I follow them, I just don't know their names.
Shenanigans.
The Shenanigans,
Yeah, I
right?
didn't even know they was comedians.
They not. They just content creators. I don't consider
Okay,
them
yeah.
comedians.
They just have a
No,
podcast
they just got a
and they just-
podcast. They read jokes. They funny. I'm not saying that they not funny,
Yeah, no, they're funny.
but I just felt like that was an opportune time to even have a rebuttal against Andrew. I'm like, bro, y'all, even the chocolate dude. I'm like, bro, y'all just letting this dude just kill our sisters off like that. Like all the jokes that y'all got in y'all head, y'all didn't have nothing responding to nothing like that. And then to have your producer saying that you want to apologize and things like that. So you was wrong. You just let him pander.
Well, and to know that you had the playback before they published it.
Oh,
and
yes.
Perfect
watched it
point.
and weren't like
Perfect
that.
point.
cut that. Like for
Yeah,
real,
the
even
issue,
if
yeah.
in the moment you just let it slide, okay, whatever. You had the chance to correct it before the world knew. So that's what kind of even which it sucks. It sucks for them because Andrew just kind of put another nail in their coffin by letting that out, where it's showing how tone deaf you are. And just how out of touch and just how it's not real to you. Like your connection to the black woman, which goes back to your question before, how black women don't feel protected by black men, that they have black mothers. And you, like you said, letting a white man who's never been allowed to sniff a black woman.
Possible, yeah.
And you're talking wild crazy, like
Like you know.
this is oh yeah, I remember when I was messing with my black girls.
I'm gonna look
Like,
that up too.
get out of here.
Get out of here.
Get
Yeah.
out of here. It's insane. You know,
Yeah.
because we wouldn't do the same.
No.
Like we wouldn't be like, oh, when I was, it is because it's irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the point where it adds more of like, it throws more shit on them in certain ways because it's like, damn, y'all had the chance to correct this and you still didn't? Wow.
Yeah.
Like, and we all have room to grow. Like I'll do my best to leave space for
Yeah.
people to change and grow in a positive way. And But y'all just got to do better. Like you
Yeah.
said, drop the ball completely, especially knowing that you had the chance before it was even
Millions of
published.
people are watching.
Yeah, wild as hell.
It's wild.
And like you said, you missed an opportunity to kind of fire Andrew up and like really go viral because it'd been like, bro, how many black women have you had?
Because I got some sisters that'll show
like,
you
how
what's
many
up.
big booties have you had in front of you?
Some Georgia peaches.
Where you're gonna, rethink everything you said you wouldn't do because this ass is in front of you. Oh, you never have. Guess what? Let's not talk about it.
Let's not
Next
talk.
joke.
If you ain't
Next
felt
topic.
shea butter
Like,
on the skin,
it's so-
I'm talking about a real sister. I'm talking
You could have went crazy on him.
cocoa shea butter, oil glistening, melanated from the sun. A black woman when the earth and the sun had a baby.
Hello.
That's who we talking
Period.
about.
That's
And
what
I'm like,
talk about us. Hello.
bro, who you?
Insane.
As a comedian, I would have been ready. Like,
Yeah.
there's no way.
You would have got so much notoriety, went viral for that, and it would have been perfect for you. Segue into more merch, more.
But you notice he talked about like the worst negative things, impact that they have, the stress of a black woman.
Mm-hmm.
Like I peep out stuff like that. I'm an educator, so I'm peeping out little nuances that you say. Even as a jokester, I know as an educator and a comedian, I've read stories about black people not always getting along, different vantage points, different viewpoints from women and to men, right? We not talking about that, but the price in tea in China is the red, black, and green. And I'm going to stand on that. And anybody got a problem with that, come holler at your boy.
Yeah.
Because little stuff like that, millions of people, black, British folk, black in their country, and a whole nother country was watching these two dudes. And sisters had to watch you act like, it's like they was nervous.
Well,
Andrew,
no,
ain't
I mean, ultimately, it just reiterates and kind of, just highlights yet again the audacity of a white man and how they feel like they have access to anything, anyone. For like, look at the entitlement that Andrew Schultz had for him to say, like, he said that shit with his chest, like he knew what the fuck he was talking about. It just goes into the entitlement of white people and how they're just like, look, let me tell you because my black friends told me. Like legitimate, and this is facts.
Yeah.
No fake news. I'm telling you what the fuck this is. And so I think this ultimately, like you said, it goes into them dropping the ball, them being completely tone deaf, and also just not understanding history, not understanding the nuances of the part that's been played of black women, how, it's just not okay to let certain shit slide.
Yeah.
Like, period. Everything's not okay. Like, everything's not funny. Like, and, I think wanting to be liked and in those certain white spaces, or bigger, wider, because the bigger the space or, the higher up you go, the wider the space gets. So I can understand maybe they wanted to be agreeable. They knew it was going to do numbers because of who it was and all that. So they wanted it to, but just understanding the responsibility you have as black men and who your audience is, from black men to black women, and then also your proximity and connection to black women, regardless if they're your target audience or not. They watch you. You come from black women, a black woman, period. You come from one.
Yeah.
So,
because Charles will give them up.
Just
Prince Charles don't care about them.
And exactly. So that's the thing. Like, yet again, white people feeling like they can do and say anything when it comes to black people, and then especially black women. Like, oh, they're this toy, they're this thing.
Yeah.
Going back to slavery.
Yeah.
I can do and say whatever I want. And then guess what? In front of you, I'm fucking your wife in this house, and I send her home to you every night.
That's the archives.
Insane.
And it wasn't a long time ago.
Insane.
It wasn't a long time ago.
At that time, you had no choice. Like, it's just like, shit, this is the reality. I can't, what I'm going to do?
Yeah.
Shoot this nigga. Like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
But at this point, where we are in society now, things like that, do better.
Yeah.
Like, do better. And now we're aware that you did not know better. That's blatantly clear. Learn. You have information at your fingertips. Go learn some shit. Go talk to some black women. Let them tell you where you went wrong. And then, because I think that's a great segue as well, because Charlemagne had this some years back where he said something on Twitter, and it was something I don't think he meant it as something egregious towards black women, but they fired his ass up and kind of like canceled him or whatnot. But he took that moment and said, you know what? Let me talk to some black women that I trust, that I know, and let me see what did I do. And they kind of broke it down. They were like, okay, and he's like, okay, this was my intention. I understand that that's not what happened when I did this, but here's how I switch it up, because they're not dead in the water when it comes to this.
No.
It's just how are you going to
No.
how
What's
are you going to
next?
respond? Like that's
What Prince Charles gonna let y'all do?
that's
That's how I think about it.
That's the key. So like just you white men, white people, you can't do whatever the fuck you want, and I'm not just going in my presence. I can't control what you do everywhere else, but in my presence, you can't just do and say whatever you want about me and my people.
And it wasn't
Period.
even fun. I understood what he was doing. It just was like,
Like you said, if it came from you, that's funny. Like, especially because we're two black dudes. Yeah, these bitches be tripping, man.
but we still say,
we
look,
understand.
Yeah.
But you're still going home to them.
Mhm.
Like, I've still this is still where I'm at. So for you to be speaking on it, like you outside the club and you can't even get in, and you talking about how popping the party is insane.
because he and again, I respect Andrew
Or how
for his,
terrible the party is in this case. Excuse me.
No, yeah. That I think again the culture. I always bring up the culture in the sense of where we the cookout thing. That's a huge controversy thing. Like I'm at the point where I'm not here to say who can and cannot come, but you know who gonna be there, who not gonna be there. But even some black folks ain't coming to the cookout.
Oh, yeah.
So a lot of black people, a ton, thousands, millions.
What they say, a lot of kinfolk ain't skinfolk. Yes, I mean,
I definitely agree to that.
All kinfolk ain't skinfolk. Yep, that's.
So, do you feel like, and honestly, this question's for both of you. Do you guys feel like comedy needs a little bit of censorship?
As a comedian, I'm not going to say that because comedy, like music, is universal. I'm in school to be a Black Studies professor, intellectual, right? I read and study Dick Gregory. I read and study Paul Mooney, Dave Chappelle, Trevor Noah. I read and study people who make the truth and reality funny. Of what race, religion, sex, gender, class, and all those things. Because of the time in the internet and the way one little thing can be taken and you can pretty much misconstrue masses of people very quickly. What made Hitler, quote unquote, so powerful and popular is because he was able to massively influence them quickly, fast, his speaking, blah, blah, blah.
Propaganda. Stuff,
So I think outside of the stand-up realm, I feel like when you're up there, you can say what you want with some discretion, but because everything's recorded and misconstrued, you need to be doing your due diligence to make sure that your comedic voice has a very sense of layership and understanding. Because just now, he thought that was real funny, but most of us is looking at him like, you ain't even had a sister for you to be talking. You, like you said, you only know what you've heard or seen in a movie or a podcast or another person's stand-up. You're not about to sit here and tell me that you had a sister, Shea Butter Smooth, and that's the first thing you think about? Because that's not even the first thing I think about when I think about my black women. The care for me.
And are you talking like this when Charlemagne, who has a black wife and like 4 black daughters, I feel like at this point,
or some real ones.
I think she's pregnant with the 4th.
Oh, she is? Congratulations.
He does. He's pretty consistent with that. 'Cause
Okay.
they have a podcast
I was
together
asking.
too.
But it ain't never been about, I ain't never heard him say nothing crazy about black women, though. He talks about aspects of.
He said
He does.
Really?
He don't say like the N word or anything like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But he does make those type of
Those
jokes
type of
too.
jokes. Okay.
With Charlemagne.
That's fair. Okay, and that's fair. And I do agree with Tequila. I think it's not that comedy music needs to be censored. I think in this case, it's where it intersected with a black audience, because we wouldn't. That's why I'm asking the question I'm asking, because I wouldn't even. I have never seen a Andrew Schultz special. Like I've never even
That's
on
crazy.
Netflix like clicked it and watched the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? So that's where the intersection of audiences why this became dangerous, because you're not going to necessarily see Black women watching anything with Andrew Schultz in it.
That's true.
Like, so when the intersection of these two platforms, that's where the line,
His audience is not Black folks.
yeah.
Period,
So
though.
that's where the invisible line that they didn't even know was being like formed, so to speak,
Okay.
came into play is when you merged your two platforms, and then this happened. Because Andrew Schultz could make Black women jokes over on his podcast all he wants, but no Black women are gonna hear it.
But I've heard white comedians make jokes about the Black culture and experience, like this known veteran, been in the game for years, Honest Dave. So I think that's his name. Honest John.
Right.
Old white man, real known comedian, stand-up comedian. He got a ton of Black jokes. I be cracking up.
Yeah, like Gary Owens. He's hilarious, but he also does have a Black wife
and Black children.
That's
and that's neither here or there.
Gary Owens
Right.
too.
Yeah,
Right.
but just the ability. I like some. I have a lot of white comedian friends, and they have some Black jokes, just like I got some white folks jokes, right? Again, it's the intent behind it, and the first thing that came out of your mouth. You could have even led with them having big old booties. That like I would have been like, okay, yeah, You went immediately to them stressing us out to the point of balding, and they get so mad that we gotta grow beards for the cushion to slap us. Cause like, why is that the first thing?
The first thing I heard was angry Black woman.
That's it.
Like, she's violent. She's her emotions are in
And they
control,
just
like, so it's just an insane narrative to allow to be joked about in your presence.
What do you think they should have did? If I ask you, that's my last question.
And that's what we were talking about it
Oh,
before
yeah, I see.
air. Before we got on the mic, and I was saying, like, legitimately, that would have been my point to be like, oh, ha. So how many Black women have you had?
Comedic response. That's what I would have said.
Immediately.
Yeah.
And then pause. Like, hopefully everybody just, it got silent, and everybody just waited on him to be like, because
dated
for
a few.
me, what I heard also when he kept talking was, I think he asked in return was like, have you dated Black, or have you dated white and
He
Black
asked him,
women?
which was his favorite?
And I think which was
Yeah.
his favorite, but I think when they said, I think he said you've dated Black women, but then he asked like, have you dated both?
Yeah.
And then he was like, that's interesting. And for me, what I heard was like, oh, I haven't, because that's you don't know anything about. All you know is white, which is totally fine, totally cool. Like, do your thing. But for you, you're like, oh, you have another perspective. So, okay, now let me play this ridiculous card, blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, yeah, that's what would have been my response, was like, ha, so how many Black women have you had? Oh, none. Okay, ha. That's, you wouldn't know then. All right. Anyway, next joke. What do we,
Yeah,
moving on.
I agree.
Yeah,
Like,
they're not comics though. I think that's
And then that's
Agreed.
another thing
what it
too.
was.
Agreed.
You just had the upper hand on that in that arena.
But I think you don't have to be, because I'm not a comedian.
Yeah.
But I also understand, like, having decorum and couth, and like understanding, like, it's just certain shit you don't say. Like, it's kind of like coming
Yeah.
into somebody. I think that was Andrew Schultz's podcast they were on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They're
Okay,
on flagrant.
so I won't say like you coming into my house, but like that's like playing in my face, knowing that I'm Black as hell
Yeah.
and saying some wild shit,
Well,
about
that's kind of
so-
his whole not kind of his whole
That's
comedy,
just-
but that's
that's
a
his
lot of
thing.
his comedy. That's why his
Yeah, he's
podcast
very-
is called Flagrant.
I
He
get-
definitely, from his stand-up perspective, he definitely does the crowd work, talking about anybody he sees, disabled. Gay. Like, I remember one, which was a really good set. He was talking about a girl, well, a trans. I believe it was a transsexual woman.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that one.
Okay,
yeah.
I don't want to disrespect anybody on air,
just
but
transgender.
transgender. Okay, transgender. I'm still learning.
Yeah.
And it was a guy with the transgender,
Okay, yeah.
right? And from afar, you would thought that was a
woman.
biologically born woman,
A cis woman. Yeah,
but he ended up getting the information out, and they were just like on their first date.
Oh damn.
And that was a huge thing, like,
Mhm.
and then,
Yeah.
of course, as a comedian, we tearing into it.
Yeah.
That was cool, and that was funny, and that was appropriate. He's done other Black things. It's just like, it's certain, you have to know your limits. Like, I'm not coming out talking about rape.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no matter
Like
how
I've been in her comedy
funny.
comedians. It's like, bro, you going a little bit too. Some dark humor ain't funny, and
Right.
some things are vulgar. Again, we're intellectuals as well, so I think I'm no censorship, but like it has to be some level of respect for the game, or like you said, Kramer was screaming, "He's a nigger" at I think the Laugh Factory,
Mhm.
and that was a
Like-
long time
Yeah.
ago.
You feel like that's the same?
What, he's a nigger, or
No, I'm talking about the Kramer situation.
I'm
and
just
this Andrew Schultz situation. You feel like that's one and the same?
No, but it definitely has the same pretense because number one, he was saying a racist slur.
Yep.
Cool. I think what Andrew was doing was bringing up racial, like it was a racist joke, but he didn't.
Race baiting.
There you go.
Race and rage baiting.
Yeah, because it's again, he started off with the negative.
Mm.
Even me, when I tell comedy and I'm talking about my sisters and joy, they drive me crazy. However, I still in my voice or my comedic delivery, you still hear the love.
Mhm.
You still hear the respect. Like I can talk about how crazy one of my kids' moms are and how they've done crazy stuff, and bring up some powerful black women in the same set. I just did it. You see what I'm saying? It's ways you can do it and stay in your lane, stay in your realm. I think it was fast. It was caught off guard. He also was dealing with non-comedians. He was dealing with other. Charlemagne is a comedian. I want everybody to understand that. Before he got into all that, he was a comedian.
Yeah, Charlemagne is funny.
For
He's
real?
the actual
Charlemagne,
radio
he was a radio host,
personality.
but he's a comedic radio host.
Yeah,
like
he
when he
is
first started
funny.
getting in the game,
Yeah,
he was being a comedian.
Very
So a lot of
deep,
people was coming at him crazy on the internet about. I'm like, he's a comedian. He does crazy stuff like this.
But I think also what I'm getting into, and I think maybe this is a black thing. Well, and then once again, there's certain types of blacks, which we've been talking about, kinfolk. I think when you grow up in a certain type of household, certain environment, you learn to like go back and forth. You know, older people, it's shooting the dozens.
Mhm.
Our generation
yeah.
was like your mama jokes, you know,
Oh,
or
yeah. Your granny.
you know,
mess
you
up
know,
your
we
granny
gon' you
That's
know,
all I
whatever it is. So you
Yeah.
know how to like. You said what?
Yeah.
Pow, throw something back at you. So
Mhm.
it just shows like them. They probably don't go back home and do shit like that at family
no.
reunions. They not.
Well,
you know,
they from London.
right.
So
But
their
that's what I'm
entire black
Different-
experience
it's
different
completely
culture.
different. That's what I'm saying. So I think that speaks to that. And
Yeah.
them, you don't have to like shit. Any black person that you meet, depending on how they grew up, is kind of a comedian. Depending on, because they're able to they're quick with it. It's just boom. And you like, nigga, whatever it is. So it just speaks to their experience, how they're not like that, which is not, no shade, no tea, nothing like that. But I think you don't have to be a comedian to be able to be like, what?
No, some
Throw
of the
something
funniest
back.
dudes I know who are not in stand up or don't do stand up, they funny, and I keep them around, and they be having me cracking up. Now they might not do it the craft of stand up, but that doesn't mean, like you said, growing up in the hood, urban inner city kid, you gotta have jokes to survive.
Yeah, you got to. Absolutely.
Ain't no not having jokes.
That's a fact.
Yeah, because
Yeah, you got to.
you got to.
Gotta
What
have
are
that.
you talking
Gotta
about?
have that in your tool belt.
You
that
have to.
big
Yeah.
skin.
But I say
Oh.
my grandmother was the first shit talker for me.
Okay.
My grandmother talked. That's why I am the way I am. People be
Yeah.
thinking that, like, no, I get that from my grandmother.
Yeah, grandpa.
Like she was a legit off the wall. Say it.
Get it
I
from
learned
your
it from a black
grandma.
woman.
Yeah.
I learned how to defend myself, have comebacks, and knowing how to do it from a black woman.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
That's a fact. That's a fact. But absolutely. Didn't Andrew have another response? Or that was
The other response was just him. Let's play it real quick before you get him out of here, so I can show y'all.
Any listeners here that are upset at us, we just want to let you know that you're going to stay upset. Okay?
This is his response to the apology.
Sit here with our tuck between our legs, apologizing on the podcast for jokes. Okay? Matter of fact, we have a new apology video that we should definitely watch. The Shits and Gigs gentlemen came on the podcast.
I love them.
I love
I
them.
feel bad they're going through this.
Yeah, but actually I do want to take this seriously because they are serious guys, and I want it. I'll stop fucking laughing, dude. They're defending their community. I want it. They came on the podcast. They got a lot of flack for laughing at a joke, and I would just want to hear their apology. These are serious fucking guys, and this is a serious. This is a
He is
serious
fucking-
apology.
he is
Ow.
bullshitting so bad.
You're an asshole.
Ow.
No, can you take it seriously?
All
dude?
right, serious.
Okay, I want. Shifty.
I haven't seen this.
Yeah, that's crazy, Shifty. That's crazy.
Shifty.
Come on, Shifty.
Shifty.
fucking racist.
I want everybody to just take this
this is
serious,
fine.
and I want us to try to have a serious moment.
Mhm.
It's a serious podcast, and
and then they're just gonna watch
Yeah,
their
them
apology.
apologize.
But that was his initial, retort to the black clash.
Hmm.
That was the
I mean,
response.
that makes sense. I mean, it's once again, it's Andrew Schultz. He's white. He's Jewish. Like, of course, he goes back to that entitlement that I was talking about. And
It's flagrant.
honestly, what do you expect for him to not stand on business? Like, of course, this is mine, and I should, of course, this is my land.
It's his land.
This is my land, and you you go back to yours. Like, of course, he would say that. So honestly, it makes total sense. Keep doing your thing, Andrew. Getting money.
It's the way you do things, man. I know a
Their
comedian.
approach.
He's Indian descent. Talks about him
Yeah,
being
yeah,
Indian
yeah,
too.
Yeah.
Brings up his experience with black people. You can tell he telling the truth. Like, okay, yeah, you really been around some black people, right? And I think I remember in one of his sets he brought up, the things sometimes that we experience with black people. But I don't know if
Yeah.
it's the frequency. It's like, what you say? Like, what you mean? Because I've laughed at other people's stuff, and I'm like, okay, that was funny. But then in some people, it's like, it's like underlining, like you trying to.
Well, I think
Again.
that's by design.
You think so?
That's the whole race baiting and
Yeah.
rage baiting.
Yeah, I'm not good at that
It's by
social.
yeah, it's by
clip stuff.
design. It's a form of it actually is a form of comedy. That's what a lot of Andrew Schultz does. His form of comedy is to kind of make you feel uncomfortable
Yeah.
or to make you be angry or something like that. It's a
Outraged.
whole
And that's why he does a lot of crowd work.
Yeah,
He does a lot of
That's
crowd
his
work.
whole style of comedy, and honestly, I wanna throw my 2 cents on top of that real quick. Honestly, I probably would have responded the same way.
How he did?
Yeah, because I feel like if you have an issue with Andrew Schultz and his comedy, then you need to do with what these parents did when they boycotted Target.
Mm-hmm.
You heard about that big boycott when they brought in like this designer, and he had some pieces of clothing that the parents did not,
It was like
they didn't
rainbow
agree
shit
with.
or
Yeah,
something, didn't it?
and they pulled their money from Target.
Like Satan or
that-
something, like some rainbow stuff like that?
Yeah, it was some stuff like that
stuff
for
like that.
for kids,
Mhm.
and the parents didn't like that, and they pulled their dollars.
Mhm.
So if you are a black woman or just anybody that has an issue with Andrew Schultz comedy, then just pull your dollars.
Mhm.
Don't watch his stuff. Don't
That's
go to
it.
his show. That's what you really gotta
Like
do.
you said, black people don't go to the show anyways. Like,
Right.
like
That's
I've
what I
never
was saying.
seen
They
a
would've never-
crowd,
This never would have intersected.
maybe a
like, at
couple
all.
black folks sprinkled in there.
For sure, it's not.
And I'm saying that I will go. I'm a comedian, so I will go to listen, learn, watch.
Yeah, of
but-
course, of
and
course.
and
yeah,
that's
he's a vet.
why the backlash went to Shits and Gigs and not Andrew Schultz, because it was like, we expect this from you.
Yeah,
True.
of course.
Of course.
I just think
That's
it's
a
because
valid
they were
point.
laughing so hard. And I'm like, y'all didn't have no comebacks for that?
Mhm.
Like, you guys crack jokes all day. You ain't had no.
And it almost was like
not
laughing
real
so hard that
comedians.
it
That's
was
true.
that it was awkward almost. Like, you laughing so hard it's awkward. Like, this shit ain't even that funny. Like,
Well,
whoa.
they just asked me, him and the other hosts, they just asked me last week which one of my baby mamas is my favorite baby mamas. And I definitely was like, I can't answer that. Like, was you crazy? That's insane, right?
That was the
But
point.
then them asking, I'm not saying that it's maybe a reach. I'm gonna be quiet. They was like, he asked them which one. Did he ask them which one you like more, or who do you prefer?
I asked that one. I
No,
asked
I'm
which
talking
one my
about
favorite.
on there.
Oh yeah. He asked, "Do you like black women or white women more?" He did ask
And
what's
they-
your
You
favorite.
like them all.
And yeah, he was just like he had a PC universal answer.
Yeah, of course. He from the British colony. Of course,
Yeah.
he will lose so much money if
You
he.
know what too? They've had when they did go on flagrant, they did talk about their experience with dating other races, black
Oh, black
women
women.
and white women, their experiences. I think
Mm.
it was talking about when they were younger in college, how they another younger experience.
Yeah, yeah,
other
yeah.
younger dating.
That's not a real
things,
experience
those
to me.
things.
I need you to have some veteran
Yeah.
in you to talk. College, come on.
As a grown
Yeah,
man.
As a grown man. So
Got you.
But yeah, but before we do get out of here, I do want to talk about some of the things we do have behind the scenes. If you do have a child that's cheerleads that plays football, it's football season right now, and we are offering photography and videography services for these children. These children need highlight tapes. You may need memories for these events that you're going out and paying your hard-earned money for. Come on over to Just Business. We'll be glad to help you.
you have anything coming up? You got some stuff going? What's the next curation vibe?
The next vibe
Yes.
curation would maybe be Akila's new show or next
I can.
show.
All right,
Yeah,
look.
you've been telling us
I've
about
been
this
telling you
show,
about. All right, so
and
look, I'm gonna go on and say it. So I haven't the flyers getting ready to get released in the next week, maybe two. I'm confirming with all the comedians and things like that. So I got to get that part.
I like that.
Right, but
Yeah.
November 23rd. Please say, make sure this part is edited so I can post this back on social media.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right, November 23rd, Friendsgiving comedy show is going down. It's going up actually. Doors open at 7. I'm gonna have a nice vibe curation, some raffles and all that. We're gonna talk. We're gonna definitely
Let's
talk.
talk about
Show starts at 8. I got some great comedians coming on, and I'm not even gonna say who they are yet. I'm gonna wait till a little closer because we got some time, man. So mark on your calendars, November 23rd. That's the weekend before Thanksgiving weekend. So there is no excuses why nobody can't make it. It's a Saturday. We in and we out. We on the east side. It's gonna be a good time. And if y'all, I'm a real comedian. I'm real for the culture. If y'all looking for that Def Comedy Jam, that comic view, that intense close up, we in here is music going, food going, and when we just having a good time.
Yeah.
That's the vibe curation
Yeah.
that I'm creating, man. I'm a huge 90s, early 2000s fan, though with its negative came a lot of positive. And so I definitely want that vibe to be able to come. You don't got to go to Hollywood or go drive far out to get some good comedic voices, to get some good laughter, good fun, good community building. I'm shouting out businesses as I'm hosting. I'm doing raffles these raffle gifts are representing other Black businesses. So it's gonna be more than just us coming to have fun and laugh. I definitely want it to be a networking experiences too. So y'all look out for that November 23rd Friendsgiving comedy show. The flyer will be coming soon. Will be released soon. So that's what I got going on. What's that? Oh, wait. You gotta hold it? Ah, okay. I gotta get one of those. Yeah. All right. I'm glad you didn't do the crickets one by accident. Like, hey, dog, what you mean?
Yo, I'm gonna do you like
No,
that.
yeah, we definitely would have to rechalk my contract.
You gonna stay with us for the next episode?
Absolutely, sounds good.
I gotta skate.
If you would like to have me,
You need to stay.
sounds good.
Yeah, I can't stay.
Here.
Yeah.
I can't stay. I got a gig to get to. But thank you, Stay Shaded, for coming.
No problem. No problem. It was my
Let me
pleasure.
ask you, what is your real name?
You want me to drop my real name on here?
Oh no, don't. If the feds is watching,
Not
never
for the
mind.
internet. Not for the internet.
I definitely understand
I
now.
say we.
I-
I,
we-
I would
I-
just have my at.
No, Stay Shaded is shaded.
Shady. Yeah,
Right,
we just
yeah.
But I never asked you, so let me ask you when we get off the mic. Yeah, because I like to keep my friends' secrets and
Yeah, I
things
got
like
you.
that.
Off the mic.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I want to say I appreciate you coming. I appreciate your perspective. Well, number one, your
Yes.
experience, because
Thank
you
you.
are a Black
Yes.
woman, and neither him or I know what that means. I definitely felt this was another safe space, and I pray that the Most High continues to fill your cup up even more. So if you do have to pour into somebody, it's gonna be overflow.
Thank you.
You get what I'm
so
saying?
much.
So I want you to say, and I love your shirt. Can you highlight this shirt?
Thank you. Absolutely.
Can you get me a shirt?
Yeah, absolutely. Say less.
This is the Montgomery Brawl.
Montgomery. Oh wait, okay.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
funny.
Right here,
Yeah.
move. You know,
With the y'all see the left hook and the hat up in the air.
Throw the hat up.
Hey, and y'all see the black. Look at him down here swimming with the boxing mitts on. With the lake, actually put his locks.
That is hilarious.
Hilarious. Thank you so much for coming, man. We
No
appreciate
problem.
you. Vibe
Thank you
for
curation
coming.
specialist.
Yes.
It's my,
Vibe curation host specialist.
my pleasure. Hopefully this won't be my last, but this is definitely my first bit time being interviewed. But I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh,
Do you have
Our
guests
doors
on
are
yours?
open.
Yeah, absolutely. I do. So we gonna collaborate.
Yeah, I'm not a
as well.
musician.
Oh, yeah.
But
But,
we can-
yeah,
we gonna
we'll
make
figure it
something
out.
fit.
Okay,
Don't
yeah.
worry.
Yeah, we definitely gonna stop through.
November 23rd.
What's the name of the podcast?
Straight out the trunk radio.
Straight out the
Make sure y'all,
trunk.
you
Pop
can
it.
follow us on all social media platforms, YouTube as well.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, we definitely gonna make a stop by.
Okay, sounds good. We can
Okay,
do that.
cool.
Easy.
Well, thank you guys. That's another episode of the Just Business Podcast. Pin drops in the chat, pin drops in the comments. Let us know you was here in the building with us. Peace.
Him and his piece. See y'all.